Hi.
Hello.
And hello.
Hi.
Welcome to our first video Patreon episode. I'm really excited about this one.
We promised it, so here it is.
We're delivering. And this one is going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about some of our favorite concerts that we've been to, memorable experiences at concerts. I obviously know one of yours, but I'm excited to hear the others.
I only know one of yours because you told me. But you've got everything face down, so I can't see what you brought. I see some papers. I see a photo.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to see what you brought. So thank you for those who are watching this. For those who are listening, it means that you are patrons of ours, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let us know your favorite concert experiences after you watch this as well.
It was hard to pick just five,
so hard.
but
So hard. We'll talk about more eventually.
okay.
This is just a start.
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Wait, you have an eyelash.
Oh.
Make a wish.
All right. Well, my first one I'm going to talk about, I have the coolest job ever. I get to see concerts. I get paid to watch concerts. And one of my favorite experiences at Massey Hall, which is one of the most legendary venues in Toronto, was when Buddy Guy came. He is an incredible jazz musician, blues musician. He is in his 80s. He has the most energy you've ever seen an 80-year-old man have. He always wears almost the same shirt, like this blue polka dot shirt. And one of the coolest things that he does in his shows is he'll come off stage and just wander around the audience. Massey Hall is 3 stories. Sometimes he'll go up, sometimes he'll go out onto the street. It's really, really cool. And 2 years in a row, actually, I got to be on the main floor in the center, and that's when he walks off stage. He walks through the center doors. So I had the incredible experience of having to open the door for him, and he stood in front of me and he sang at me and he looked me straight in the eyes. And one of the times people were recording, and there's actually a YouTube video from a stranger that was just there, and you can see me just light up. And
It's great. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I'll we'll put a link so people can see it.
So you didn't bring anything here.
I didn't bring
show,
anything for that.
but there's a YouTube video which we'll link up.
Yeah. And that was definitely a super special experience, and one of those moments where you're like, wow, I love my job. I love my life. I'm getting paid for this. That's crazy. That's insane. It's just...
I really like how I'm sure we've talked about all of these experiences on different episodes.
Probably.
Things have come up, but it's nice to put this all amalgamated into one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that number
That's
one
my
for you?
first one. Yeah.
Or number 5, depending on how you're counting it? Okay. You ready for mine?
I'm so excited.
Okay. So coming in at number 5 for me is going to be Sam Roberts. So this is the all access pass that I have, and I like it because it's crossed out that it's not working, it's not VIP, it's all access. So this was really special for me because my family was a huge music household, and a lot of the times we would all listen to the same thing. We all really got into the same band or the same artist. So when I was as young as 13 years old, my family really liked Sam Roberts, now the Sam Roberts Band. And if you're American and you're watching this, it's very possible that you don't know who Sam Roberts or Sam Roberts Band is, but they're Canadian sweethearts. They're Canadian treasure.
Great rock and roll band.
Great rock and roll band, 6 albums, all so good. Mm-hmm. And this concert meant a lot to me because we interviewed Sam Roberts.
We did.
Because it's a podcast by a couple of groupies. So yes, we love talking to the women in music and the women in rock and roll. But for us, I think when a band is coming to town that we really love, we're we might as well ask them for an interview.
You can't get a no or a yes unless you try.
Yeah.
And a no is free.
We haven't done that in a while, so definitely we should get back into a little bit more band interviews. But this was really special for me because not only did we get to interview Sam, but then we got, the
all access treatment,
the phone number to, the people that were working for him, and then he gave us passes, and we got to hang out in the band area afterwards. So not only did I get to interview a band that means a lot to my family, and then we got to even invite my brother to the interview. He came in, he was our camera guy.
He was a total groupie, and it was so great to watch.
It was so nice to experience that. It was so nice to share that experience with my brother and with you. And then afterwards to go to the show. I know that I had that experience earlier.
Magical,
really special. That's number 5 for me.
Cool. All right, well, the next one is also an experience I had at work. This time not at Massey Hall. It was at the Sony Center where I also work. This one was interesting because this was a show, a very top secret show. We heard rumblings of it at Massey Hall. It was supposed to happen at Massey Hall, and then it didn't happen at Massey, and I just never thought I'd get the opportunity to see this person. Now, this isn't my ticket, but sometimes when there's an artist that I love that plays, I don't always collect tickets for shows that I'm working unless they were like really special and I'm like, oh, I want a piece of this. So my next one is Prince.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I did.
She did.
And this one was just one of the most incredible shows ever. Never thought I would ever get to see him perform live. And he always does doubles. So there's a show at like 7 or 8 and then one at 11. And he did completely different sets, completely different kinds of music.
Of course he did.
And he did it with Third Eye Girl, which is like his like all-girl backup band, and they were just so killer. And he played literally every Prince song that you would want him to play. It was just the most magical thing. Now, the thing about it, though, was he had very specific rules in regards to like, no cameras, no dancing in the aisles. It was very strict work-wise. So I had to like actually work the whole time because it's hard, first of all, to tell people, have a little less fun. Don't take those photos. Don't go wild dancing. But I couldn't stop myself from doing those things either, except taking pictures. So I spent the entire show like walking up and down the aisles, like literally dancing. I was like, no camera. Like I was dancing the whole time. And after the show went over, so many different patrons came up to me and was like, you were the best. Like we were watching you. I loved your dance moves. Like it was just nice that like they absorbed my joy, and I just had the most incredible time. And it's definitely shows like that make it like so special. And yeah, I was the dancing usher that night. Nothing could stop me from dancing to Prince.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And that was maybe a year or 2 before he passed, and he actually did come back for that last tour and did more like laid back piano show. So I was glad to see both sides.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Holy
Rest
shit.
in peace, Prince.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Cool. This one for me was a bit of a last minute addition, and so I don't have anything for it, although I did get a tote bag. Nice. From the show, and it was a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe last year. It was at Massey Hall, and it was when Haim played.
Oh yeah.
Was that a year ago or 2 years ago?
I think it was about a year.
So I had gotten tickets.
It was like a year and a half.
Okay.
Because they've been closed for a year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had received tickets as a gift from my sister-in-law, who is the biggest Haim fan of all time. So usually it was me who got my brother and my sister-in-law, or definitely my brother, into certain music. But it was Olivia, my sister-in-law, that got me into Haim. and she got me tickets for my birthday, and my brother came with her to the show, and then my younger brother came to the show as well, so it was a whole family thing. But my younger brother Patrick didn't get tickets with us. He got his tickets last minute, and he was kind of up at the back
in the gallery,
was surrounded by like cute girls. So he was just dancing with them all night.
Had no problem with that.
So that was a fantastic show, seeing Haim at Massey, and then Lizzo opened.
Oh, she opened. It was crazy. I've never seen an opener like get that much of the crowd going, and everyone was on their feet from the get-go. Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
That was the first time I'd heard of her too, so I was like, whoa.
And now she's selling out the Budweiser stage.
Yeah. And I just saw her at the Danforth, and it was another...
And that's the last time she's going to play a venue that small too. So
yeah, it was so good.
It's so fantastic when you can catch a band...
like making the steps on their way up.
Yeah. Actually, that's going to be one of mine coming up as well.
Ooh. Okay. Well, my next one is... I thought about talking about going to see Pearl Jam and the Rolling Stones in England last year, but I actually do talk about that in one of our old episodes. If you go back, I think it's called Groupie Tales, Groupie Stories. So you can hear about that. That was an amazing adventure. So I actually have another Pearl Jam story that's really special to me. Yes, they came to Toronto a couple years ago, and they played the ACC, and I really wanted to go. I love Pearl Jam. I'll see them anywhere. But my dad, who I wanted to go with, was like, I hate stadiums. Like, I refuse. It's not happening. And basically, over like 2 weeks, I had to wear him down. And finally, the day came, and he was still like, no, I don't want to go. And I was like, look, I have these 2 tickets. Are you going to make me like sit alone? He was like, fine, I'll go. So we go, and of course, like the minute that they start, he's just lights up. He's so happy. He was singing along. He was so excited at every song that came on that was like one of his favorites, and we ended up having a great night. And
I didn't know he was a Pearl Jam fan.
Yeah, and he bought a shirt for me there that I really love, and it was just a special one. And I've seen a couple of shows with him that are special. Nick Cave's another great one. Black Crowes was another one. But the Pearl Jam one, just seeing him go from like so negative and like to so happy was so fantastic for me. And to top it off, because the same security guards that I work with also work at the ACC, I got some samples of the stage crew passes.
All access. And
I got both set lists for each show that they played in Toronto that year. So
I wonder whose writing that is.
I'd love to find out. Eddie. All right. So what's yours?
It's definitely a man's writing because it's all capitals.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know any women who write in all caps.
That's so interesting because my dad also does the all caps
thing. So does TJ.
Yeah.
All right. My turn?
Your turn.
Okay. So my next concert is Father John Misty. And they opened for a band in Toronto before they were big and who they are now. And I wasn't even living in Toronto at that time. All I knew is that this band was super up and coming, and Josh Tillman was a total babe, and I had to I didn't come to Toronto often, but if there was a really special show, I made sure to be there for it. So I got 2 of my cutest girlfriends, and we went to the show. And they had no idea who Father John Misty was, but as soon as they saw him...
What a great surprise.
They were dancing, we were dancing, the band could tell we were dancing. It was just amazing. I knew all of the words because only his first album was out at that time. And I'm going to show you what I wore to that show. It's very embarrassing, actually. I don't know. I will
help you.
Okay, so it's a shirt that has pizza on it. It's ripped, and I wore it with a belt, and I did not wear pants. So it is now a night shirt. It does not see the light of day, except for right now.
But it's got this special memory attached.
It's a jammy shirt, but that didn't stop me, and it didn't stop the shirt from being a good luck shirt. Because after the band played, the guitar player came up to us and said, "Thanks for dancing."
Amazing. That's wonderful.
So then we were chatting with them, and the other band was playing. It was like Said the Whale, I think was the band. And then the guitar player said, well, why don't I take your number and we'll pack up our gear and we'll text you after that. And so whenever that happens, you're like, okay, they have my number.
Are they gonna do it?
But are they gonna text?
Did they?
They did.
Amazing.
And
of course they did.
Yeah. So funny enough, though, he texted us, and so then we went to the hotel to go and meet them. But then Josh Tillman was just wandering around in the lobby, and he saw us and was like, "Oh, hey, you guys!" And we were like, "Hi!" And he's like, "What are you doing?" We're like, nothing. And he's like, "Well, do you want to go get a drink?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So he got his drummer and me, his drummer, my girlfriend, and myself. So the four of us all went out for drinks. And the guitar player was texting us like, "Where did you guys go?"
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good night.
It was a perfect night.
Love those nights.
Yeah, it'll go down in history. I remember sitting beside Josh Tillman and just trying to remember exactly every tattoo he had. He was wearing like a cut-off shirt like this. Yeah. And I remember just looking at his arms, looking at his tattoos, looking at the cigarettes that he was smoking, just
absorbing,
trying to remember everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm sure I've got it written down in a journal somewhere.
For sure. All right. Well, I thought I should put in this one because it was special. And I think it was 2005 where I got to go to the Mod Club. Yep, 2005. And see Marianne Faithfull. Yeah. Again, I never thought I would ever get to see her. And if you are a patron, you surely know that Marianne is how we really connected on this. And she was the first muse I ever kind of discovered that I really connected to. And so seeing her live was just insane. And it was at the Mod Club, which if you're not from here, it's a very small venue. Maybe 1,000 to like 1,300 people can fit in there. And it was an interesting one because I was at the like front center right in front of her. And I was the only one like on the stage like this, just, and I couldn't actually see anyone else in the theater. So it was like, I was the only person there and she was performing to me.
Surreal.
Yeah. She was the only person like in my view, in my periphery. And at the end of the show, I actually got the set list.
Oh, it even says Toronto. It says the date. It has, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So this is probably my favorite set list that I've ever collected.
I'm surprised it's not in a frame.
I know, right?
Why'd you do it?
I gotta frame it. You're right. All right.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's number 2 for you?
Oh, number 2. So the thing that I have for number 2 is actually what I'm wearing right now.
Amazing.
And this is Bob Dylan.
Oh, yes.
In Oshawa.
I thought
2 summers ago.
Yeah.
How can it not be
You're
on
right.
my top 5 list?
Yeah.
I do have the concert ticket, but I'm gonna tell you about the dress because I feel like the dress played a big part in this story. And so my friend Marie and her mother got tickets to see Bob Dylan. She said, "Do you want to go see Bob Dylan?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Yes.
5th row back.
Amazing.
Like 5th row center.
Ugh.
Holy shit. And it wasn't in Toronto. And I think this is what also played a really special part about it, is that it was in Oshawa, like a smaller town outside of the city. So Marie and I were sitting outside before the show, and I had worn this dress because I wanted to be an angel for Bob. I wanted to be an angel for Bob Dylan. And I just had a feeling he would see me. So I wore my most angelic dress, and before we went into the show, we were just sitting outside in the grass, and I found a 4-leaf clover.
Perfect.
And I knew something special was going to happen.
Of course.
So we went into the venue, and we were 5 rows back, and Bob came on, and it was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted more. So I made sure that I got up.
Your groupie instincts kicked in.
I went to the washroom at one point, and I came back, and I made sure to walk down the aisle with my dress fluttering like I was an angel. And then towards the end of the set, this guy just got up, stood up in the aisle, stood up at the front of the stage, and nobody kicked him off. And so I was looking at my friend, and I was like, we're going. And she's like, no. And I'm like, no, we're going. She's like, no. And I'm like, See you later. And I left her and I went up to the front of the stage and I was dancing for Bob, and he ended up coming right in front of me and looking at, I shit you not. And Bob Dylan's looking at me, and then all of a sudden there's 3 people behind me, 5 people behind me, 10 people behind me. And by the end of the show, other people had come to join, and I was just in heaven. I blacked out, I'm sure, at some point. And then at the end of the show, when he came to bow, he came and bowed in front of us.
Magic. Pure magic.
Yeah.
Wow. So for my last one, I'm going to talk about my most recent concert, which was Bikini Kill in Brooklyn. Holy shit. This was insane.
I saw the Insta story.
Yeah, it was insane. First of all, just going to New York, which is like my happy place. And we were staying in Brooklyn and, exploring areas I hadn't been before. And then we get to King's Theater, and that theater was gorgeous. And the history there was really interesting. Apparently it closed in like the 70s and then reopened about a decade ago. And it's gorgeous. It really reminded me of Massey Hall. I was missing it. And just to see Bikini Kill, who were so influential on me growing up. I never thought I'd get to see them ever.
Were you front row?
They had a pit.
Okay.
And we actually got pit tickets. And that's another crazy story to this, because they played 4 shows, and we tried to get tickets to like every show.
4 shows in total, not 4 shows in New York?
4 shows in New York.
In New York, okay.
So, but they didn't announce 4 at first. It was just the one. And then that sold out really quick. And then they announced another. And so by the time that we got the tickets, my friends that I went with, they got up early to like try to get them. I had given up. I was like, it's not going to happen, because I tried so hard to get the tickets before that. So I was amazed that we got them to begin with. And then, yeah, they were pit tickets. And when we got there, I went up to the front of the stage and I said, I'm only going to stay here for like one song, because I was expecting like the pit to be, rough and people pushing. And I'm like, I'm too old for that right now. I'll go up one, take some pictures, absorb, and then kind of roll back. But everyone was so respectful of space. Right. And I ended up staying right at the front for the entire show. I had enough room to like jump around and dance. I was with my friends. We were dancing. And just like the nostalgia of it and being there. And it was so funny. Kathleen Hanna came out. She was like, first of all, I'm not your fucking mom. She's like, stop calling me Riot Mom. Like, go on Eddie Vedder's Instagram and call him Dad. Right?
Good point.
Right? And it was just so much fun, and the energy. And as a bonus, which I really didn't expect, for Rebel Girl, Joan Jett came out.
That was awesome. That was the video I saw.
Whew. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better experience with them and with my friends I went with, who I love. And yeah, that was magic. Speaking of magic,
you know what my number 1 is.
For sure.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Relive this moment.
I've seen Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers 3 times. One time was with my best friend Laura and a guy named Jonas Bonetta, who's in the band Evening Hymns. And the second time was with my dad in Halifax. And then the third time was, I guess, with my friend Kim. But really, I felt that I was kind of on a solo mission as well for that show. And my brother and my dad were at that show. So I was lucky enough to have been introduced to Tom Petty's light person. So the man who did the lights for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers for years and years and years, Stan, he, we started talking and we became friends, and he gave me an all-access pass to both shows that they did.
Amazing.
In Ontario. And so he also gave me 2 tickets for the floor, but I gave my dad and my brother the tickets because I had all access. I was able to stand on the side of the stage at the ACC. So we were taken in from the back area. So I got to go back and see all the crew
magic.
things, all of the roadies, everybody working. And there wasn't a person there who wasn't working for the band. We met an awesome guy named Mondo who had a part of doing sound, and he had his own little booth, and we were hanging out in Mondo's booth, and Kim took a set list, and it was wild just looking from the perspective of the band at the whole Air Canada Centre and going, wait a second, how on earth did this happen? And how did we get so lucky? And thank you so much. And then we got to go and hang out with Stan because, you could go through the aisles and then go up to, what's it called? Like where they do the lights. It's front of house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got to do that. And then I remember just standing behind Benmont Tench. And then I somehow got to the front of the stage itself, and I was dancing. And again, it was another one of those moments where I completely blacked out. But I was dancing. I was in heaven. I was just, thanking everything that is holy that I was there at that moment. And then I looked up, and Mike Campbell was looking down at me and mimicking my dance moves.
Amazing.
Yeah. So at the end of the show, he threw me some pics, and the guy beside me reached out and grabbed them. And then he looked at me, pointed at me, and then threw me the pics again. So I caught a couple. I gave one to my friend Kim. I gave one to the security guard who let me stand there. And so I have my crew pass here. I have one of the tickets, a picture of Tom Petty, and the pic that Mike's
That's beautiful that you made that. You always have the memory. Get to see it visually every day too. That's special.
So I was making a vision board with a couple of my friends the other day, and the calendar that I had used this year was really beautiful, and it had a lot of veggies on it, a lot of plants, and a lot of our vision boards are very much plant-based these days. And she took out the picture for July, and I ended up looking at it, and I realized that the Bob Dylan concert and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers concert was in 2 weeks of each other. So in the same month, I saw both Bob Dylan and Tom Petty. And I remember after that happened, I went and visited a friend on the farm because I was so, I don't even know what the word was. I was so just I couldn't believe that had happened. I was hard to process that I had to go to like a quiet place in nature for a little while and just decompress because it hit my system hard.
Yeah.
How can one person get that lucky?
I love talking about this stuff and reliving these moments.
Like truly blessed. And I mean that in... Yeah.
So is there any shows that you wish you could have seen? Any artists? Who was top of your list?
Leonard Cohen.
Oh, yeah.
I regret not seeing Leonard Cohen.
That's a huge one for me, and David Bowie.
Yes.
Just either of those men, like what a performance that would be.
Yeah.
I have one last thing that I found while searching through all of this to bring. It's two of my most embarrassing ones.
Yes.
I think I was like 13, 14 for both of them. First of all, I don't know how I even have these because I was not a fan. So the fact that I still had them, I'm now going to grace them to you.
It's NSYNC.
I don't know why I have these in my memorabilia box, but I did go to an NSYNC show. It was a friend's birthday, and I remember going and, wondering what the hell I was doing there.
Corn Pops Rocks. Did you get this from a cereal box?
I must have. I don't know.
Back
I have no
cereal
recollection.
boxes were actually giving away cool shit.
And I have proof of another embarrassing one. I actually saw Limp Bizkit and Eminem perform together, and I actually found a photo of the Eminem show.
Wearing a signature white backwards
cap thing. Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure it was a good show though.
Maybe. This is what I remember of it. I do remember like going.
This was a disposable camera, wasn't it?
Oh, for sure.
I love disposable cameras.
Sure. Yeah. So proof that there were some interesting shows in my background. Yeah.
Amazing.
Do you have any embarrassing ones that stand out?
I mean, I have a picture of myself at 10 years old Backstreet Boys and the girls I was with have like one of them has a Kevin headband and one of them has a Brian headband. And I was like, I'm too cool for the headbands, but I still screamed my head off at that show. That was actually the first time in my life I ever had a Big Mac as well.
Wow.
Big Mac.
What a life-changing experience.
It was life-changing. For the Millennium Tour. They came out on surfboards and our poor mothers.
All right. Well, there you have it. Please share with us some of your stories. And I'm sure we have more that we'll share in the future.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for being patrons. We love you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See ya.